Hello everyone, my name is Dr. Avi Bardwaj and I'm back with lecture series on science. Today's topic is in continuation with what we have been talking for the past 2 days, and this is part three of Nobel coronavirus episode. I want to give you guys a little update on where the situation is and what I think we should do to make sure that we all stay safe. Currently, we know that total number of reported cases within China and rest of the world has gone past 9,800. To verify the confirmed cases, it's very difficult because what we get information is from Chinese government. There's no independent verification, but what we know now from the Chinese government is that there are more than 200 deaths within China itself. So it's not only epidemic within China; it's taking a pandemic shape now because there are a lot of cases which have been discovered rest of the world as well, based on either people traveled from China to those countries and some people got infected in those countries, or some of the citizens of those countries were in China and they came back and were found to be positive for novel coronavirus. So some of the cases I want to talk about which are of interest to me are, for example, in Germany, all the cases they have discovered in Germany, none of them have ever traveled to China, which means that one of the a person from China, for example, have traveled to Germany and their German colleague basically got it from that person. So which what it tells is that the coronavirus is extremely this particular virus is extremely contagious, and the person who visited was not showing any signs of sickness. So that means that there are carriers who could infect other people, and they might not know, and the person they are interacting with might not know, but can spread this disease this way. Same thing happened in Japan, for instance, where a bus driver contracted this virus because some of the Chinese tourists were there in his bus. So basically, what it tells us is that this virus is extremely contagious and it's very easy to infect other people around you, and you might not be aware that you are carrying this virus. That is what makes it more dangerous. And what we can learn from history, if you see 1918 Spanish flu, there was a similar kind of virus. It was H1N1 virus, but that infected about 500 million people, and there were about 50 million to 100 million deaths. The exact number of deaths are not known still, but what we know is that the number was between 50 million to 100 million, which is a very very large figure in a very short time. And the biggest worry I have is that since there is no vaccination, and vaccination can reach general public, and it might take 1 year because it's gonna take at least a couple of months to develop the vaccination, and then there are animal and human trials which will take further months, and eventually usually it takes about a year before the general public gets the vaccination. So this time period is extremely critical, and what we can do is that individually every one of us has to play a role and make sure, first of all, prevent getting it. Means you do everything what is required to do so that you do not get it. And there are certain things we have discussed in our earlier videos. One of that is that washing hand is extremely important before you eat anything. So that's number one. Other is also using mask, even though the masks are not 100% effective, but they're still better than not using. They will still prevent some cases, so it's better to use mask rather than not use it. Also, your eyes have to be covered with any eyeglasses, but needs to be covered fully. Something like which could cover this portion as well, so it's airtight here. And very much similar to like swimming goggles, where nothing can enter. And because one of the reason people get infection is that either they touch their eyes with the infected hands, or somebody sneezed or coughed, and directly virus can go into eyes. Other is, as I mentioned, uh, you can ingest it if your hands are infected, for example, or you can breathe it if the mask is not proper, or if you do not have a mask and somebody sneezed or somebody coughed. So these are the things we need to make sure that if this pandemic, which is actually taking now pandemic shape, increases, then we need to be very careful. If you could avoid going out altogether, that would be, it's impossible to survive like that 1 year. But I mean, minimize. If you could work from home, for instance, then try to work from home if it is allowed from your company. If you do have to go out, then you need to take really good precautions, so that you do not contract this virus. And same thing goes for your family. But very important part I also want to discuss is that this very difficult to avoid also in certain circumstances. If if number of people who are infected increases, then your chance of getting infected also increases. But other than that, what you need to do is, so number one is like your personal hygiene, as I said. Number two is to how to boost your immune system, and you can do that by changing your diet, eating nutritious diet. And when I say nutritious diet, what I mean by that is that you should eat a lot of salads, a lot of green vegetables, raw green vegetables and fruits, and that should be part of your diet every day. Also, vitamin C plays a very positive role in reducing the severity of flu. So if you could boost your vitamin C intake by either taking some supplement, or best ways to either use lemon juice, lemonade or orange juice, and make sure that you at least drink 1 or 2 glasses of either orange juice or lemon juice. That would definitely help. So if your immune system is strong, then the severity of such viral infections, there's chances of you surviving that. So if I think my main message in this video, as we see now number of cases increasing, this can actually become in coming weeks even more dangerous. And since this has been reported in many countries now, and we don't have any vaccination or any defense to protect us, then the only thing left is prevention, and making sure that we are all alert, and take all the necessary steps to avoid getting it. If someone in our family gets it, then that person needs to be in the hospital, or in isolation, where making sure that no other person gets from that family member. But since some people who are kind of carrier for from 3 to 7 days, that is where the biggest worry is, that many people might not know that they are sick, and they might be infecting other people around them. And that's why it becomes very, very difficult to contain such type of breakouts. And I don't want to kind of create a panic, but I'm very concerned when I when I came to know that there are carriers who are not showing any symptom, and that's what makes it more difficult to control. And the critical period would be until we have the vaccination. So my intention is that everybody takes it very seriously, because what we see in the history and what we can learn from 1918 pandemic, that these viruses could be very deadly. And keeping in mind the population of the world now, which is over 7 billion people, if something like 1918 outbreak happens now, then it could kill easily 400 to 500 million people. So we all should make every effort to keep ourselves safe and also our family members safe. Thank you for watching.